Start recording. Yo, what's up, guys? We got the new balance patch, and it is a lot more than I expected. Sean B made the prediction yesterday about the balance patch. A, it's gonna suck. B, Seiishizo is gonna rage about it, and C is gonna post a meme. Well, I kind of skimmed through this whole thing so far. Keep in mind, it is 7:30 in the morning. I went to bed at like 4 a.m. So I'm on 3 hours of sleep. So if I miss anything, it's because of that. Like the times for them to post. Like I kind of just woke up to go to the toilet, checked, like, yo, a balance patch. I'm like, okay. So I kind of started skimming through, and I was like, okay. So yeah, let's get going. First of all, Megumi nerf. Oh, first of all, a 5 gifted by Yumi. Thank you very much. But first of all, Megumi nerf. I did not expect the Megumi nerf because Megumi has been the most hated unit, most picked unit outside of the Stark meta right now for a very long time. And he was never addressed, but now going for a 30 bar to a 20 bar is actually a lot. That does mean that if you singly hit like one individual unit, let's say you go for a Shiho skill 3 on a different target, that a 20 bar will probably not make you cut the whole team if the Megumi is somewhat on the slower side. So you're forcing yourself into more of Megumis of, well, still 20 bar within like a 1 unit cut is still a decent bit. He will still be decent to good, but he's definitely going to be less annoying. So I like this nerf right there. I think it's justified right there. Then we have the Quillin Slasher. Did not expect the Quillin Slasher to have but a nerf, mainly because Opawa has it and Skid has it. And to be honest, those are the golden boys that always get their units buffed. But we are gonna get some nerf over here. So the increased damage according to your crit rate. So it has like crit rate scaling. It's the only unit in game that actually has like a crit rate scaling. It's going to be nerfed by 20% damage, so therefore he doesn't have a necessarily 20% damage nerf. No. He has 20% damage of that part of the damage nerf. But how much is this scaling? I don't even know. Like, that's... I don't fucking know. And then the attack bar increase from 15 to 20 according to your critical hits. That is actually kind of big. The S2 will get a lot less, because I do think that your S2 is looking at a 6 hits, if I'm not mistaken. Which could be at this time of the morning. Yeah, so it's a 5 hit, and then like it's a attacks the target once and a 5 extra times. So that's 6. Normally you do 6 times 15. That is over 100 bar. Now it's just going to be 60 bar. That is a really big thing for your cycling. So the cycling right there is definitely going to be huge, and this unit is definitely going to be taking quite a bit of a hit of a nerf. Because normally you could cycle...
2020 shred, 2020 shred, Seish, thumbs up, Seish, thumbs up, Seish, thumbs up.
This godforsaken hour. But yeah, normally you could do a shit ton of cycling. That's going to be harder at the moment. We do also have the Light Oracle nerfed. I did expect this nerf as well. It's very much a Com2us kind of nerf to just lower the rates and then just call it a day with that. Decrease the attack speed of all enemies by 2 turns. For going from a 90 to a 75 checker. Only thing I'm not 100% sure is that only the strip that comes, or only the debuff chance that comes if there is no strip. So attacks the enemy, granted 9, okay, but the strip remains a full-on, yeah, it's just the decrease the attack speed of all allies, or enemies. So therefore the strip will still remain this. Inflicts continuous damage for each removal. In addition, increase... Okay, so I guess that just this part. So the whole slow is just 85 check. Okay, sure. We're just going to add stupid RNG to whatever. Because it's 75 and it goes up by 10%, right? Yep, okay. So we're just going to make that whole thing 85, I guess. So strip or no strip, it's 85 on the slope. I guess so. Whatever. Then we're going to have the Water Zenitsu, and it used to be decrease your cooldown by 1 turn, increase your attack bar by 35% when an ally falls under an inability effect. I think that makes him usable. I have been using the unit a little bit here and there. It is runed up. It's definitely not something that I'm spamming or using a lot or whatever. But he is kind of decent. Like, he's definitely not that bad. So... getting the bar when one of your allies gets under inability effects, and then if the enemy has stun things as well, you can get more bar to get into, like, just cycling with S2s and stuff. Not too bad, not too bad. This one is actually one really big surprise for me. They actually right away are addressing Stark, which I think for SWC, like keeping SWC shit in mind, is very necessary and recommended. Does this make this unit bad already? No, I do think that he's still going to be very good, but he's definitely going to be less oppressive. So the increased damage goes up to 200%. Well, keep this part in mind. Before it was a 300% by max if your whole team is dead. Now it is a 200%. So it's only if more than 2 units are dead that you're not going to get more value from that. I do think that revives did make it like continuously count, so therefore you could get like 400%-ish if like whatever. But that part is now limited. Makes sense. And we have the attack bar gain also going to 20 rather than 30. So for this one, it's also one of those things that you need the unit to be a little bit faster. Before, if you had just at like plus 140, you would still cut the whole team if they were like 200s and that kind of stuff. So in this case, if you want to cut units that are 200s on speed, you probably have to be more towards like 160-ish. So the requirements for him being slow are definitely upped a bit. The Fern on Light is not nerfed, but we do have a Stark on Fire buff, which is now a Ramagod actual. Yeah, that's the moment I read this thing in the first place, that this dude was doing 70% from his HP as damage. I was like, yo, the fuck even this, man? Just make him 100%. Now they actually make him 100%. Same as a freaking Net 2 that does the same thing. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Then we do have the Fern on Waterwind Dark. Increase the damage for the S2 for Barrage. And is that the S2 that goes for single target hits on... I think that is the single target hit Death Break. Yeah, I already felt that this skill did absolutely rockery for damage. So it makes sense that this one has a little bit more damage output. We have the Ivor Water. And the stat threshold for granting that is decreased by 14%. Maybe a little bit more of a siege unit. It's been used in siege a little bit already as well, but that just makes it where you kind of have to give it less defense, but the other stat you were probably gonna give anyway, so it doesn't really change much. We're gonna have the Unicorn on Water. Recovers more HP at the start of the turn. Might be an annoying unit to kill. Might be more of a comeback for a water tank in siege. But outside of that, nothing too crazy. Like a Camilla still does that job better in a lot of cases. Nina Williams on Water. Increase your attack bar when the enemy is 50%. You go towards 100%. Okay. Does that make her cycle good enough where she actually becomes usable? Honestly, I never use this unit myself. Nope. No, it's just kind of a... I don't know. I don't know if... I'd never actually played with that unit, so I don't know. Then we have the M. Bison on their S2. Yeah, that's the S2, right? Decrease defense for 2 turns if they already have a provoke. Yeah, it's a 1-turn decrease right now. And it's on all of these units. This one, yeah, it's a 1-turn decrease. So it's going to be a 2-turn decrease if there's already a provoke. I think that is going to be strong for Gurkha. That's going to be strong for Cigar because they are taking multiple turns. So the S3 already has a provoke, and then you S2 on that, you will get a 2-turn defense break. And you will probably take more turns in the first place. So therefore, you just have more chance for provokes being up there and that kind of stuff. Okay. Then we have, like, nothing too crazy, but just a nice addition. Justice on Water and Lights. That is their S2 then, I assume. And that is one of those blues clues checking, like, what the fuck did actually change. And this case, if no harmful effects were removed, you get 15 bar. I think that is the main thing out there. Yeah, that is what it seems to be. Okay, I'm not really feeling it, but sure. Plasma for Water, Wind, Light. They will get a 100% defense decrease if there were no harmful effects removed. I was kind of expecting the harmful effects, or just to get a 100% decrease in the first place. But sure, I guess. Dark Plasma is going to get a 25 to 35 bar. That is actually a lot. I think the unit was already usable-ish, mainly paired with like Hans and other LDs and that kind of stuff, because He is actually a bar booster on Dark on kind of a niche thing. Plus, it's definitely not a bad unit, but him giving 35 bar, that's actually kind of nasty. I do think some people will definitely get this a little bit more use, but mainly a bit Han carried, I would say. Moving on next, I hope I don't skip anything. No, should be fine on the next screenshot. We get a whole bunch of things that look like something, but is actually not something outside for Volantis. I would say for Volantis, it's actually kind of nice. For the others, it's a little bit less interesting. Was that shit actually going up in raid? Because we're going to get extra chance to provoke. And does this go up in rate? No, doesn't go up in rate. But 70%, still that you cannot really bet on your Volantis being a CC unit, but it is a something. And Volantis also goes down in cool... No, wait. Yeah, it gets both of those. It also goes down in cool time. Is that actually something that you would be like, yo, going to a 4-turn cool time strip? It's a bit better. It's a bit better. It's nothing too crazy for the 4-turn, but... it's more about the provoke chance. It's kind of nice. We got a Dark Monkey buff, and that can get 20% more speed whenever the enemy takes a turn. Okay. Would I also say it's really good for Balinus? Yeah, for Balinus, I would take it as well. For Balinus, it's kind of good as well. For Wind Druid, Water Druid, still kind of in the mids. Dark Druid, also kind of in the mids. It's not that bad, but yeah, Fire Monkey. Fire Monkey, 20% extra speed. He was kind of drifting out of meta without meta just kind of changed around him. That was the main thing, rather than him getting nerfed. But yeah, I guess decent buff, but nothing too crazy. We have the Archangel. Wind revives that target with full HP and all allies. Oh, Jesus fuck! When are we gonna get a Nigong fucking buff like this? What the actual fuck? That's an insane fucking revive. You revive the whole fucking lineup with near to 100% HP? What the actual fuck? That's insane. Like 30 to 70, 70 is a lot. That is definitely... that's going to be a siege offense unit for sure. Was already a siege offense unit here and there, but that's going to be a siege offense unit for sure. Archangel Light Judge... we went from getting counters with an instant crit, so the 100 crit rate goes to an always crit, so you can actually crit your Kinkies and those kind of things, even though Kinky cannot really crit you, but sure. That is, yeah, not bad. So also glancing doesn't matter shit, which is kind of nice, I guess. Still not really the biggest fan of this unit, because what if the enemy never crits? But yeah, sure. Next up is Lars. The damage decrease is that, yep. Okay, so for your adrenaline, I actually never really understood this unit. Sure. Approximately 6-7. Sure, the damage you take is decreased by 25. Okay, so just more damage decrease, no damage increase? Or is it also... yeah, it's just more damage decrease. I don't care. Isis buff. Wow, that's also not an Isis buff I expected. Absorb 15 bar. That doesn't do shit. Like, that doesn't really... well, yeah, sure, nice, we'll take it, but not something I would write home about. But, yep, Sea Emperor, increase the damage dealt to under harmful effects. So if they have harmful effects, you go to 100% damage increase? That's a good bit of damage. I do know Manana already did good damage. This will definitely become like a nuker unit. The only thing is he still leaves units with like 1 HP, which is kind of annoying, but sure. For the enemy with no beneficial effects, damage increases towards 25. Okay. I guess that this is still a net win, I assume, but sure. We have Ileana gets 100 crits. Wait, that is the S3, right? So in the Lord of Hell state, does she get like 100 crit rate? Is that how it works? No, that is Lord of Hell. Wait, Power of Destruction. Oh, Power of Destruction is the skill over here. This is Power of Destruction. Okay. So Power of Destruction gets 100 crit rate. Damn. And she does get extra crit damage in the air, did she not? I thought she got extra crit damage in there or something. But that was what it used to be. Yeah, it used to be extra crit damage, now it's just extra damage or something. Okay. Yeah, deals 50% extra damage. Okay, not bad, not bad. Because now you don't have to bother on any crit rate. And you can still go on crit damage. I think more of like a siege-ish unit than RTA, because RTA still would rather draft other things. And the main thing that is my issue with her is that you will land a attack break and defense break unless you already have an attack break or defense break and then you start stunning. But the thing is, if you already have an attack break, you can never land the defense break because you're going to try to apply a stun, which is a little bit awkward. But sure. Then we have the Cannon Girl. I kind of skimmed through this thing. I completely did not understand it. It is too early for me, boys. It's too early for me. Let's actually just grab Christina in there as well. Should be one of the earlier units, right? I should definitely be looking at this. So that's the Burst Cannon. That is the skill 4. Yep. So normally we destroy enemy target for how much damage we dealt, and then increase your bar proportion to the destroyed HP. Yep. Increase the damage by Burst Cannon by 10% per hit on the enemy up to 100%. But this skill is only a one-time hit. Is that what you had to do in previous turns? And always attack the critical hits if fully stacked. That counts reset when you use the skill. Damage decrease approximately 25. So does that mean I first have to hit units with like a focus shot and this, and then I can use this burst cannon? Because now you could actually send out the burst cannon first, and it does actually have good damage based on speed scaling. But now you have to charge up your burst cannon by hitting them first, and then you can do... Wow, okay, I think that's kind of ass. Yeah, I don't think that's good at all. Like, if you... Like, this skill could actually do a good damage in the first place, because the speed scaling, if you put a Adriana defense break, blah, 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 that kind of shit to it, this skill actually did hurt like a fucking truck. But now you have to... you don't get any bar from it anymore, but you could do more damage if you did already hit something before. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. She has so much weird buffs that she really loses the momentum and the style of what she was played at, because before she was played as a multi-hitter additional damage artifact unit. Then she was kind of like, oh, let's remove that shit. We're gonna be looking at her more as a full-on damage dealer with the full setup and then nuking things and then getting extra turn. That part is gone right now. Now it's like a bruiser-ish nuker, but it has to bruiser before the nuke, and then we're like, oh, no, that's just... Could be used, but kind of weird in my opinion. Dark Sage, which is Pioneer at some point. No, I actually changed it for a change, but sure. Increase the attack bar by 20 if you successful steal. Now it is 10 bar guaranteed and 10 bar for successfully stealing. So that is just a one-time. Yeah, so it's still 20%, but your 10% is guaranteed. So if the enemy goes full off will, or it has 3 non-will, and you don't strip that 4th unit, and you get fucked by that, which is the thing that wounds owners hate the most, that is kind of nice. Yeah, Ismo buff and a less ammo crash outs, less glorious crash outs, less Ismo crash outs. I think that's what we're looking at. Dark Justice, for the enemy lower than you, increase your according to defense. Yeah, that was the weird part where it's like, yeah, do you really want that? For enemies with attack lower than yours, increase your damage to 100%. Okay. And then, okay, so the defense part is removed and the other ones are upgraded, it seems. Increase the damage according to your speed. So we have a 20% increase over there, 15% increase over there, and the scaling on defense is removed. I guess you would kind of do same damage, but at least you don't have to focus on defense, which is kind of fine. So therefore, also a defense buff is less interesting as the setup on this unit. But to be honest, a very simple fact is Zyros is better. Like, I don't want to be rude, but Zyros is better. That's just the fact. Then we have the Dark Pudding, now absorbing 35. That is actually really strong, because 35 absorb makes you cycle if you just absorb 3 units. Which is definitely good. This unit is going to get a lot more use, because now you can absorb and apply a Oblivion in your first rotation, which is very good against a lot of freaking, yeah, already mentioned Dark Stark, yeah, or the Windstark. This unit is going to be used by everyone that has it. Just a good old like 210 Swift wheel set at it. That thing's absolutely going to be used. Then we're going to go into the 4 stars. Asura Water can now go up to 1,000 attack power increase. Okay, never seen this thing being used, but sure. We have the magic mics for the blade surge. We have your first and second hit. That is the hit on the single target being decreased. And then the final hit, the damage on all units is being increased. So I guess you get extra damage out of that on AoE, but a little bit less single target. We have the Wind Tempest going for a branding. We had to have one random unit on the brand, right? That's always one of those things. Random unit on the brand, we'll take it. Oblivion on Gravity Shot. Does that make Magic Mike on Dark viable for defense? It is a 2-turn Oblivion, right? Yeah, 2-turn Oblivion is not that bad. I think that might make Lapis viable for it. Where is stupid unit at? Pretty sure I should be looking at it. Over there. So this one does give yourself healing. It does do damage according to enemy max HP. So it's kind of a bruiser thing. It does have defense break on the S2 over here. It has a little bit damage over here, plus continuous damage on the 3rd hit right now. Yo, that's a something. That is actually low-key a something. Plus speed lead. Okay. Base speed is 95. That's pretty horrible, though. That's definitely not that crazy, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's definitely not that bad. I could see it being used in Siege. We also do have... Wait. We have Mermaid adding 5% damage? But why? Like, wait, people have no rune quality that they couldn't kill with Mermaids? What's their issue on that? Sure. We have the Draken Warrior Water. Goes on the threat stage while attacking the enemy with single target. Goes from single target skill 3 times to 2 times. Wait, so it's just a shorter threat state? That's a nerf, right? I guess that's a nerf. It is a nerf, but I already saw he got a buff on the speed lead, so therefore, or speed awakening. He's nerfed, but there's a reason because they're buffing him later on. But yeah, okay, makes sense. Then we have the Spectre Princess, which also gets a nerf, but also one of those that will get a buff in a second. So the absorbing from 50% goes to 30%, which makes her harder to cycle, which, okay, is a thing. But right away over here, we can see that she has a global speed lead. Global speed lead on an AoE absorb unit. We don't really have that too much, or do we? I think she might be pretty interesting on that. So we do have this single target strip. Tomoe, yeah, Tomoe kind of has that too, true. Similar to Tomoe-ish. Or Silver, yeah. On a 24 speed lead, it's not necessarily something I think of like, oh, I'm definitely going to be building that, but it might be used here and there. We got the Orfina that actually gets a global HP lead. That is definitely very strong as well. That is 100% a strong thing right there. Is it necessarily crazy good? I don't know, but it's okay. Then we have this. Com2us. Holy shit. I was not ready for this. You are actually changing an ungodly amount of units with a cure. Like, wow. This just makes a balance patch, like, let me tell you, Com2us. This makes a balance patch go from a 5 out of 10 to straight up a 7 out of 10. Or an 8 out of 10. Like, that, you get so much shit in here. So let's actually follow what we get. First off, we have the Chimera going from crit towards accuracy, which is Theor. I think that for Theor is really nice. Because Theor was more and more leaning towards, like, all of my skills are just critting anyways in the first place. Wait, where the hell is Theor looking at? Goofy ass. Oh, he's right over there. So yeah, with this and this, both already landing as a guaranteed crit, getting an Accuracy Awakening for that S3, I like that. I'll dig that. Then we have the Desert Queen going from a Resistance Awakening into an Ack Awakening. Doesn't really change much in my opinion, but sure. We have the Devil Maiden going from a Resistance Awakening to a Ack Awakening. I think doesn't change that much. You were already kind of wanting to get max resistance and max ack anyways. It's just like in whatever way you fix that. Doesn't really matter that much. But then the Draken Warrior is going from Ack Awakening to Speed Awakening. does have to keep in mind that he has one of the most horrible S2s due to Irration being in his family and Irration, yeah. So this S2 is doing jack shite, in all honesty, because it doesn't absorb, it doesn't apply. This thing goes to a threat state that is going to be 2-turn. However, the rest of this is still going to be good. So it's going to be a silence unit with an attack bar decrease on a 116 base speed, which not that bad. So it is a unit that if you use some fast swift strips or you use like a Laura or anything like that, to have a unit that be able to follow up on that, it is not the worst though. But is it necessarily something that people are gonna play? No, because this S2, this S2 doesn't land shit. Like it's really horrible. Like you don't want to do that. So don't really expect that to be used. Asura and Water, that did also get a increase for the passive. Also now gets a crit. Okay. Harpy Water was Resistance Awakening. Legit, I did not even know. Legit, I did not even know. Sure. We have the Odin. Okay, that is definitely going to be more Siege meta for sure if Odin gets a crit. Yeah, Odin gets crit Awakening. That is pretty darn strong for Odin, not gonna lie. That makes Odin a lot easier to rune in both defense and offense. So yeah, I would like Odin for that for Siege. That's definitely a good Siege one right there. We're gonna have the Shadowcast. I did not even know he had Resistance Awakening into an Ack Awakening. Makes him a little bit easy to build, but still don't really like the unit. Beetle Guardian Wind. I don't even know what the fuck he does. If the unit is that bad, I don't even know what the fuck he does. Increase your attack power and defense of all allies, excluding yourself. Receive. Wait. Oh, that's the AoE defend, right? AoE defend, and then this thing is the AoE provoke. You on 117 base. I'm not really feeling the jazz, but sure. I guess some people will be happy about it. Barbaric King on Wind gets a crit awakening. Really good for PV. It's just a PV unit. Well, actually, some Siege offense, he is usable as well-ish. Because in the end, he does give the same buffs as Adriana. So, yeah, not that bad of a thing as well. Living Armor. We're gonna copper in 2026, boys. Coppering in 2026. Actually, Copper is still a good unit. Then Light Ezio. Boys, this makes the balance patch another point extra. Finally, Light Ezio is a crit awakener rather than the dumb shit resistance. Light Ezio was crazy hard to rune. Mainly because of that. And it's going to be a lot easier to rune Mr. Ian right now. And I will like that. I will like that. That is definitely going to be a very nice one right there. Altair is also getting that buff. I don't even know what the fuck that unit does. No one cares about it. Light Triss. Wait, is Light Triss Groa? I think that's Groa, right? You are Light Triss. Correct? Yep, that is Triss. Now you get an Accuracy Awakening. Did you have Resistance? Why? But sure. Wait, we have Dark Nina going from crits to Accuracy? How is that a buff for that unit, man? That doesn't change shit, but whatever. We got the Jennifer on Dark that was a crit and now goes to Accuracy. That is Hilda, right? That is the unit that does provide the stuns. I do think. Not 100% sure. I think that you are... Yep. So... yeah, it makes sense for it. But it still doesn't change the unit that much because... But sure, makes things easy to rune. And then we have the Draken Warrior also going for crit. Does make a lot of sense. Like, why the fuck was this thing resistance in the first place? And then we have... Ooh! Pure Vanilla Cookie on Dark does get actually a double buff. That is kind of nice. That is kind of nice because also the accuracy makes it a lot easier to fix accuracy. Okay. And then Barbaric King on Dark does also get crits. Okay. Then we have the String Master. Yep. Okay, increase the damage will not be applied in some fix other damages. Okay. Sure, maybe that's why they actually did it. And then some skill fix error. Yep. fire. Yeah, okay, so it's just some fixes, sure. Some description, sure. And then one thing that is kind of hard to read because this thing is in front of it. We're going to get base stat increases for the mermaids, which is going from +3. That's just the main thing. So Kiklet, decently fast. At least Molly is not crazy slow. Tetra's kind of nice. Platy is still used. Actually, all of them are kind of used, no? Yeah, no, actually, low-key. That's the whole family that was slow as shit, but the whole family was actually used. That's kind of interesting. This one. So you're going to be a 113. You're going to be 113. That's actually not bad at all. And then the others are going to be 98. Okay, okay. Not too bad, not too bad. So, yeah, overall balance patch, I would say W. Chat, what are we thinking for this balance patch for a rating? Because I was expecting a good old 2 out of 10 balance patch, 3 out of 10 balance patch kind of style. But Megumi is nerfed. Most of the LDs that were OP and oppressive were nerfed. Not all of them, but most. We have Wind Stark being nerfed, which I actually did not expect as well, which is definitely a good W right there. There were a whole bunch of buffs that I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, but hey, maybe someone can make some use/work out of that. Big thing I like is that we're at least changing some leader skills. It's not that many, but just 2, hey, it is a good start. This thing definitely ups the whole balance patch by another 2 points. I think also the way that they nerfed the units, maybe the Dark Zeni took the hardest nerf, but the other nerfs like Stark, I definitely do think he's still usable. Is he going to be per se the most picked unit still? I'm not sure. There's definitely some units that people still hate that are going to be high on annoyance level. Let's say a Layla, let's say a Hey Gang, let's say a whatever, like sure. But hey, at least one of them is already addressed, which is not that bad. Aya is definitely one of those. I would have liked to see Aya just that's the only one I would actually claim is like, yo, that one is slightly too OP because it's also super OP for siege offense and arena offense. So for me, definitely not a 10 out of 10 because you could always do more. And I'm Dutch and we never really give 10s. Plus that you would have to address like the whole fucking everything. But is it a good 8 out of 10? Yes. Yes. Is it a 9 out of 10? 8.5 out of 10 is what you get from Mr. Seiishizo over here. Jumpy wasn't right. I am not disappointed. I think that this is actually a pretty solid balance patch right there. Sure, some units, like, it's not really that I pinpoint something. It's like, oh, I'm really going to be seeing this. Like, this is going to get the new meta. This is going to be starting to be used a lot. Biggest balance patch winners, Glorious. All of his LTs got buffed. But yeah, I think that there's going to be a good bunch of things. Water Monkey is going to be hard meta. I wouldn't be surprised if Water Monkey gets like first pick. Yeah, he's definitely really strong and he's not addressed at all. And the nerfs out there do help him a bit as well. But yeah. I'm just checking what I see really as like the biggest balance patch winner. But I would say against the turn 2 passive meta, I would say that the where the hell is unit at? Pure Vanilla Cookie Dark. I think that this is one of the bigger ones, plus the Accuracy Awakening. I think that is definitely going to be a pretty strong one. I think Wunsa S3 is definitely going to be a nice change. Magic Mike on Dark, I can see that in some siege hits right there for sure. I would say Volantis gets a bit more playable with this, which is definitely nice because that unit was just kind of rough spot. The Archangel changes, don't really see them that much. Liliana change. I don't really expect to draft this in RTA still, but I could see it on Siege Defense being annoying because on Siege Defense, if it keeps going back and forth into the mode, you get new HP bar every time, which is kind of annoying. So she's a little bit hard to kill. Manananan change, maybe kind of for cleaving, but I'm just not the biggest fan that Manananan cannot really kill. This one, decent buff. This is the only, like, the Bella buff is the only one where I'm like, yo, I don't know. Liliana is Crit Awakening, by the way. Wait, does she? Wait. Wait. Did they just remove a whole bunch of fucking crit awakenings to now still give this thing crit awakening when giving 100 crit on this skill? You tried. You tried. Well, this part is also really nice. I think they should be doing this shit more often. I do mainly like it for Theor. I think Theor is a nice addition for that. Light Ezio. This one was the longest coming. Should have been there ages ago. But yeah, I think that one's really nice. I think the Draken Warrior Dark also becomes a lot more playable with that, because just adding that extra crit rate in is kind of nice. I am missing on this list 2 particular units. Well, now 3 units, because this one gets a guaranteed crit. But there's 2 particular units that are, I guess, not getting the buff because they're already too strong. But this thing has a crit awakening where you have a guaranteed crit, and then fuck skill 1. So you have 2 skills, guaranteed crit. The fuck do you need this for? And of course, Mr. Zyros. Zyros does also have crit awakening, and he could really use an accuracy awakening. But then again, Zyros is already best nuker in game, so should you buff it because the buff makes sense? Maybe not. Second best nuker in game is probably the Itadori for excluding all of the ADs or LDs. Then this thing is pretty much the second best after Zyros. So it does also kind of make sense where the both of them aren't buffed. But those are crazy good. Like, Ack Awakening on Zyros and Itadori would be freaking insane. But they're already really good, so I guess that's why they dodge it. Ileana's now added to the list that should actually get this changed. Are there any accuracy? Oh, Odin. Odin is also really good. Yeah, Odin is definitely going to be used as well. Turn Liliana into a speed lead. I kind of doubt that would ever happen. Yeah, Liliana, they're trying. Bella, I'm definitely not feeling that. That's for me like the old Salah buff. Like, is that even a buff? It's just a change. It's like, whatever. But Liliana, yeah. Oh wait, does anyone in this family even have the speed lead? No one has the speed lead. Damn, that could be a family that gets the speed lead at some point. That's pretty insane. That's pretty insane. So yeah, I would give it 8.5 out of 10 balance patch. That's I was expecting a 2 or 3 out of 10. Layla on the speed lead 33. Prefer not. They did not add a new 33. If they added a new 33, it would have been a 9 out of half balance patch. That's what I would say. They added in another 24 lead. Is cool, but 24 lead aren't as cool as 33. So if they added another 33 to the game, I would have given it a 9.5. Is what I would say. Well, that is all for the video. I definitely am pretty hyped for this balance patch. Like, I expected way less. It's not necessarily that something is like, oh, this is going to be crazy, this is going to be super meta, this is going to be super meta. It's more like everything is addressed a little bit. Plus Megumi nerf. This gets a lot of points already for just slightly shifting out units that was the most picked unit. Actually, the 2 most picked units in game, which was Windstark and this thing. Windstark definitely had this nerf coming, but I think he's still usable after nerf. So that's fair. Well, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this balance patch.